So what's the common theme among all these situations? The victim is almost never at fault here. And yet the general reaction by common people is that the victim's situation is their own to clean up. Even when the happenings are often genetic or things that have happened to them, we want them to deal with it out of our sight. Things that they can't choose and often wouldn't if they had the choice to avoid how malicious other humans can be about the results. As a general rule, in almost all sentient species, if we see anything out of place, we immediately fear it, feel uncomfortable around it, don't want to look at it or be anywhere near it. After these initial feelings wash over us in a flood of negative hormones, we then begin to relax the fear and drum up the anger, as we do as much as we can to make sure other people fear this thing too. Which is where the name-calling, badgering, and bullying comes in an effort to make the anomaly go away by any means necessary to, most likely because it probably promoted a healthy family unit, because the one that was anomalous tended to have a problem that could spread to the rest of the tribe. Back then. You're different, so you must be removed. That, coupled with the shoddy education of the masses these days, interlaced with religious encouragement, creates a cycle of ignorant bigotry that's been specifically designed by the various more controlling humans over time to make sure you never think to yourself, oh, this reaction is just my inner monkey getting automatically angry for reasons no longer valid in this day and age. I better hold Chimpy in, rethink the situation, and approach it with intelligent caution, rather than trusting my gut or what I may interpret it as being a feeling from God. Now, understanding this, how can we combat it? Well, we can't really. Children, aka new people, will always generally be ignorant of the pain and suffering of others if it will make them laugh and be popular, and for some children that will work enough that they will choose that as a path of their own life. It's part of our monkey nature to adapt and to whatever situation makes us feel good and survive the most, and feel like we're surviving the most. Most of them haven't had the life experience to properly grasp empathy and are still at a stage where they think everything belongs to them, and they're willing to fight others to make sure it all stays the same. Sounds a little like the mindsets of the early religious creators of this world. Like small children of today, all we need is a ridiculously over-exaggerated fantasy about torture or punishment to make the immaturity complete. And so bullying will be here for as long as there are humans being born without foreknowledge of the universe, whether we like it or not. But this is why I think education is important. This is how we combat it. Some people say, you're just telling people how to think. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. I love Pink Floyd, but I have to say that is the stupidest lyric I've heard in the entire world. I mean, I understand to a point. There is a lot of thought control going on, and I do not approve of it. But for the most part, I never got the impression that they were snowing me in any way. Like, that kind of talk only seemed to come from the dumb kids in school and overly paranoid conspiracy theorists, except that now the conspiracy theory has sort of come true, what with Texas making it okay for teachers to push their unproven oppressive religious hypothesis as a valid option against factual scientific research that has led to the unquestionably proven theory of evolution, which is frightening beyond all means, because that means an entire army of deluded religious kids are being trained by enabling lies right now to be as militant as they can be, spitting in the face of all honest discovery, just because they... religion. A religious hypothesis based on unproven myth against a scientific theory based on factual testable evidence. Look these words up, people. Hypothesis and theory. Learn these definitions and apply them properly. I know which one I can trust more often. The scientific theory based on factual evidence is always going to be more reliable than the religious hypothesis based on unproven myth and personal feelings. And if anyone is looking for anything they can trust to predict their future situation 100% securely, which is really all religion was trying to do it in the first place, then they're looking for a fantasy. Just understand that fantasy is a form of entertainment and will never be reality. The only future we can do is what we do now while we're still, while our automated clump of elements is still going. But back just to the school thing, I came from a different time. When morning prayer was just finally being ousted like it deserved. The Hindu kids and Sikh and probably Jewish kids really don't need to be forced to pray to Jesus, just as much as any Christian or atheist kid needs to be forced to pray to any of the other deities. There's no disrespect in the conscious social withdrawal of your own religious beliefs so that you don't interfere negatively with the lives around you. While the school system may not have told whole truths about history all the time, they didn't seem to sell me any lies that I could really detect or remember. I don't remember them telling me either way whether Hitler was atheist or Catholic, and I would have cared, because personal religious bigotry against me made me very interested in why good people follow these evil religions, hateful religions. Plus, there are many things for which education is needed before we can proceed, or else we'll all be douchebags or dead. We must educate everyone in the social situation of this planet. Either get along with each other in peace without infringing on the rights of others, letting others enjoy whatever they want to enjoy if they're not hurting or infringing on the rights of others, and risk getting locked away or getting killed, or any other such vengeance dreamt up in the human monkey mind if you do infringe on the rights of others. This includes causing harm or death, as we all claim a right to be alive, and we all try to suffer as little pain as possible. Well, some of us like pain, but some of us don't. I don't. But I will not condemn those who do. If they have fun with it, have fun. We must be educated that we are still part animal, still pre-programmed with instinctual reactions to practically everything. We must be educated to know that not always are our instincts the correct things to follow through on, and the fact that believe in your gut is a harmful lesson to teach to people, and that it is up to only ourselves to figure out when we should switch to our higher mind and remind ourselves, hey, you're just a monkey trying to cause a fuss. Calm down. You have a higher brain that can intercept these immature behaviors that were useful for survival at one point in our species histories, but in this world we live in now, it can only serve to ostracize you from anyone who may have cared about you, so stop it. That's what we all need in our brain. That's what religious people need the most. I must also pause here to mention that not all instincts are bad for us either. When two consenting adults are both feeling lustful, our instincts can be pretty damn awesome. Make one of them unconsenting, and that's when the issues begin. Now back to that topic. I know not all people are mentally capable of just thinking their problems away like that. People do have inborn mental issues, chemical imbalances, just genetic differences that may cause them to behave slightly different than other people, have different tastes. More of the victims that we tend to blame, which is a word I'm trying not to use lightly. But for those who don't suffer from those things like myself, it's possible. It almost never happens overnight, but just keep thinking. That's the best advice I can give to people with a similar brain pattern to my own. Just think about the problem, try to come to a solution about it. Obviously, do the solution. Don't just think about it. This isn't the secret, after all. But think about the situation from all angles. Get help. Think with people. Thinking is what solves our problems. But it almost never happens overnight. That's just the best advice I can give to people with a similar brain pattern to my own, which we can't really tell without communication, which is why commenting on this minuscule topic should be limited to those who share my position on it, because it's only my opinion and there's no point in telling me that my opinion is wrong. If thinking about it works for me, it works for me, and it will work for other people, but not everyone. If it doesn't work for you, I understand you exist already. You don't need to comment. Sound fair? But yes, keep thinking, and eventually you may have it figured out, and next time something doesn't sit right or disturbs you, makes you uncomfortable or just suspicious, halt yourself. Think about it and approach with intelligent caution, because fear will often lead you to actions you may wish you hadn't taken. Fear and natural instinct on some occasions. Which brings us back to the victims. Stop blaming the victims. That's our initial fear reaction. but we have a higher brain to stop that. Stop blaming the victims and instead imagine their situation, how you would feel in these situations, and perhaps you can approach the world with a little wisdom and courage that can rub off on other people and make some interesting friends who may not be the most physically, mentally, religiously, genderly, racially perfect. But then who has to be? Especially when perfect is only based on the personal tastes of the human being using the word at the time, and is not a blanket declaration of the ambassador of all of humankind.